Very last section on page Nuntes. I said this is the conclusion of this mimer, bringing back all that we discussed and how that explains the posuk upon which the Masik mimer is based. And the central point of what has been brought out in this mimer, after all this long discussion, is that the kav is Gilui HaHelam. And we explained yesterday the significance of that. The kav, this is the process towards the creation of the world. It's called a kav because this is where the spheres are organized in a straight line. There is not the overwhelming oil that completely overwhelms them and includes them and allows them to be interchangeable or interleaved. But each sphere is in its own place. That's called a kav, a line of points. And this kav is representative of the oir as it is ibehelam, initially in the Ayin Seif. So Gilui HaHelam, and therefore this is representative of the way it is above this tzimtzum and certainly the reduction of the oil. So the Rebbe explained that since the kav comes as a result of the second section of the tzimtzum, it's called miyud hoir, not a total removal of the oil, but miyud hoir. Therefore, we see that the kav is actually representative and contained in that which is in above the kav, in the helam.
So instead it says it seems from the siluk lagamri, totally takes everything away. It's not true?
It's true, but then after that siluk, there is what's left, what's called a reishim. A reishim of the Ayin Seif. The reishim remains even after the siluk. And the reason that the reishim remains after the siluk is that the impression of the reishim upon the spheres is so profound that the spheres themselves retain the Ayin Seif. Like chochmah retains the Ayin Seif that it experienced even though the Ayin itself was removed. So therefore the siluk did not do the full function of allowing a recognition of the spheres as they are relevant to world. They are still representing Ayin Seif. We discussed this with all kinds of Mishalim, pointing out how this, so to speak, in our at our level, where we have also human qualities from the neshama, which are a muscle for the inyan from spheres, there's also the similar inyan.
Question. We say after the siluk there is a motion that retains something of the Ein Sof. We never discussed this something of the Ein Sof. Is it possible to materialize or to this trace? We say it's a trace, but we haven't really got into the nature of the trace.
Okay, we did, but I know this is something which is elusive.
Yeah.
I'll go into the mashal, since you asked a question.
Okay.
The mashal for this, as we gave yesterday, is the mashal of the bais, of the home, and the content of the home, the furnishings. Furnishings are entities and they're all independent. In other words, to the extent that you can order a piece of furniture from a shop, nothing to do with the home. And yet, when the furnishings are in the home, in our mashal, yesterday we didn't go this far. The home represents the person who lives there.
Mm-hmm.
That representation is true whether the person is present in the home or the person is absent. In what way does a person also presented when he is absent? Again, the point, we sense this very clearly because when you call into a home, somebody's home, even if he's absent, you're going to be, you want to treat it with certain deference, not because you respect the furnishings, but because you respect the person that lives there. But he's absent. And it is not true that you respect, he'll come back, he'll see that you moved around the furniture. That's not the point. The point is you're just not going to dare interfere with his life. But he's not there. Because we pointed out, we spoke about this a lot, there is the house and there is the home. When you enter somebody's home, you're entering in his house, but you're completely oblivious to the fact that it's a house. It loses completely significance in light of the fact that it's a home. There's a human being living here. That's the real thing. This oir is so profound that even in his absence it remains there. All right, as I said, we'll go through this quickly. This is a lot of terminology, Kabbalah terminology, which is not in our period, but we'll just go through this and go to the next one. With the above, you'll understand Mashakosu, what the Pasuk says, by Daber Havaya. This is the beginning of this Maimon, on the Pasuk, by Daber Havaya. So the question was, he says it twice, Havaya, Daber Hashem. This is talking about the Porah Aduma. That the Hashem commanded. The Hineksiv, and the explanation will be will surface after this discussion. For it says in the Pasuk, "Vayenichehu b'Gan Eden li'ovdo l'shomro." That when Hashem created the Adam Rishon, He placed him in Gan Eden, and the purpose for placing him in Gan Eden was li'ovdo l'shomro, li'ovdo to work it, l'shomro and to guard it. Yomer Hazal, and the Chazal say, li'ovdo zura mach mitzvos asay. That is an allusion to the 248 mitzvahs, asay, positive mitzvahs. Shomro, and to guard it, this is asa mitzvahs leisasa. This is the 365 mitzvahs leisasa. In Medrash Rabbi Yisa, in the Medrash it says, Shekoyi al avidas hakabonis. That this of the Shomro is actually accomplished through avidas hakabonis, the avidas hakabonis. And what is this inyan avidas hakabonis, which means shalidei zeh, that's a result of this aveda. The of the Shomro mamshichim tois v'soiris began Eden. Adam Rishon was placed in Gan Eden. The of the Shomro to enhance Gan Eden. What is how do you enhance Gan Eden? The tois v'soiris. That thereby you mamshich, you draw additional oiris, increase of oiris in Gan Eden. What is Gan Eden short of oiris that you need to increase its oil? Hine began Eden ksiv. But regarding Gan Eden it says, Vayita vayelikim, that vayelikim has planted a garden in Eden. And the garden, this is how Gan Eden is introduced. Vayita vayelikim. This vayelikim, this is Shem Moli. This is the full name, which means this is not just Elikim, but this is Havaya and Elikim. Shebegan Eden, because in Gan Eden, Meir Gilu Shem Havaya. Even though the creation is Bereshit Bo Elikim, the creation is from Shem Elikim, but Gan Eden has both. There's Gilu Shem Havaya in Gan Eden. This is the supremacy of Gan Eden over worlds. Because worlds are representing only Shem Elikim, which is beginner's Helam, which is the aspect of Helam of concealment. Gan Eden Meir Shem Havaya. Gan Eden Meir shines, which means is revealed, Shem Havaya. Bechinas Gilui, which is the aspect of Gilui. We already discussed very briefly, but I'm not going to listen to it now. We already discussed in from Helam and Gilui. The principle of Helam and Gilui is, Helam means that you do not recognize the source, what this represents, and Gilui means that you recognize the source, what this represents. This is similar to what you just mentioned a while ago before, that when you first build a house, you build a house. The house is just a structure, and it lacks the gilui, it lacks the human element. We pointed out a while ago an interesting phenomenon in our own experience. That if you visit a home, and it's a very well appointed home and well furnished and everything, and then you find out that this home is not a lived-in home, it's a model home. Its whole purpose is to demonstrate what you can do with these houses. You have kind of a fall down. You lose interest in what you're observing. What's the difference? You're seeing exactly the same what you saw before. There's no gili, there's no life element, there's no meaning to what you're looking at. It intended for something, but it actually did not experience this life. This is Helem and Gili. In world is all Helem. World and worldliness per se, without the additional oil, is like we say, this is like the house. And the avodah is to render and transform the house into a home. Bring life into the world. Behui inyan, okay, the third line. Behui inyan, that is actually the same message, the same point, when the Gemara says, Biyud nivro olam haba. That olam haba was created Biyud. It says, Biyud ki Hashem tzur olam, that the two aces, Yud K, were used in creation of the world, of worlds. And it says, Biyud, the Yud is olam haba. What is Yud? Yud is beginnas chochmah. Yud is the beginning of chochmah. And we'll discuss it in a moment. Too much we're not going to go into it. Just one, we should have some benefit to it. B'zehu gilui hataynu shebegan Eden. The Yud is beginnas chochmah, and thus that brings about the gilui of the tynug in Gan Eden. Just briefly, beginnas chochmah. Chochmah is such a common term. What's so special about chochmah? We discussed this many times. Chochmah is really a phenomenal koyach. And the mashal for this, as we used, as you pointed out, is sight. It really, if we reflect on it, we see how phenomenal that whole capability is. Where with sight, we're talking about human sight, not sight as a Hitzonic sight, a real sight that brings the human being a significance of what he's seeing. And what happens in sight is, even though you're looking at a physical object, and the physical object is primarily identified by touch. The place that it occupies. This is how physical objects are defined. Sight is a kind of a superficial view of the object. From a distance. You don't even come close to it, you don't touch it. And yet, inside, the impression that you have inside is much more profound than even touch. What is it that you see that makes such an impression that you would not even have in touch? In touch, you only relate to the physicality of it, the kelim, the material from which it was made. In sight, you immediately relate to what's intended by this object, by the creator of it. Like I said many times, if you see a table in a home, it does not alert you to the fact that the table has 4 legs. You're totally oblivious to it. You see it as part of the home, and you see what it stands for on a human level. You right away go to the source, to the significance of it. That's what sight is. So you are seeing something spiritual, something that is not really tangible, and yet it is extremely real. This is chochmah. The phenomenon of chochmah is that chochmah accepts the reality that's being shown to it, even though it does not fully understand what it is, what it's looking at. And it's not curious about it. It's not bothered by it. When you touch something, say, is it made of metal or wood? What kind of wood is it? How much does it weigh? It totally oblivious to it, not interested. Because you're addressing a completely different phenomena. You're addressing the oir rather than the kid. This is chochmah. This is why chochmah is described as a beetle, which means chochmah absorbs the reality itself, not that which touches it. There's a difference between knowing something by touch, we spoke about it many times, touch or sight. In touch, that is the real thing, right? You actually feel the object. Yeah, but you know the object by its effect upon you. That's not knowing the object as it is unto itself. You know it by its effect on you. So you know how it affected you, not the real thing. If you touch the table, you say, oh, the table is made of wood. Is that the reality of the table? It affected you because it's hardwood. But that's not what it stands for. Sight is where you relate to the reality of the object itself as it is unto itself. That is really phenomenal. This is the reason that we have a sense of the reality of the world. The world is real. What do you mean it's real? Is it real in terms of your experience? No, but way beyond my experience. As a matter of fact, it's so real that gives me impetus, gives me encouragement and inspiration to participate. You want to participate in what's going on in the world because of the tangibility of it? No, because of some kind of intangible reality. Where do you recognize that? In chochmah. Chochmah sees that which is beyond that which is observable. This is actually going to be brought out over here. Bechinas chochmah v'zehu gili ha-tynug shebegan Eden. Chochmah is gili ha-tynug. What is the reality that chochmah carries? Is the tynug element. Gili ha-tynug. If I might just want to take a few minutes, I might as well. Tynug is the super quality, let me tell you. Oineg and Rotzen are the two qualities which is above being contained in a keli, above definition. All the koiches that we have below that, seichel and midas, entail a certain process. There's in certain in our terminology would be a question and an answer. The fact that I had a question, I have an answer, that gives me a certain sense of what I'm looking at. Tynug and Rotzen are qualities that are not based on any kind of a process. There is not a question of why does one have tynug. And the union of having tynug is not based on what you're having tynug of. Tynug refers to the capability of having tynug, which is a profound quality in the nefesh. Just as we said just now about this is a lower, this is sight, chochmah. Also, there is not a cause for the experience of sight. You see it because you see the reality of it. Rotzen likewise. They're both koiches, what's called makifim, and both being placed in a container because there is not an explanation for Rotzen or for time. If there is no explanation, where does it come from? The answer is, this is the godly impression itself into the creation and into the human being. This is part of the neshama that the Rebbe said. This is a godly phenomenon. This is it.